Woo! Hey there, I'm Doc Schmidt. I'm a GI fellow and I just finished a full afternoon of clinic. So I thought I would take you guys with me and kind of walk through the patients that I saw in clinic and some of the common GI issues that I see and how I deal with them. Before we go too far, I want to thank Miralax for sponsoring this video. Thanks. Let's go. So there's a lot of reasons people can get referred to a GI doctor. Heartburn, abdominal pain, trouble swallowing. But a really common one is constipation. This can be chronic constipation or even just occasional constipation. Unfortunately, in our society, I think there's a little bit of a stigma against constipation. I think it's because people are embarrassed about it, probably. For example, sometimes patients will make an appointment and the one-liner for the appointment reason says abdominal pain. But it's only once I start talking to them that I realize the problem is really constipation and they just might have been too embarrassed to say it to the secretary or whoever was making the appointment. But constipation is super common and it's very treatable. Stress can be a very common trigger for occasional constipation. As we all know, our lives can be very hectic with work, personal obligations, a global pandemic. There's a lot to be stressed about. One of the most important things to realize is simply struggling through it doesn't really help anyone. Occasional constipation can affect your mood, your emotions, and your stress level. When I have occasional constipation, I use Miralax. You've probably seen Miralax in the store before, but what is it? It's an over-the-counter laxative, which means you can buy it at the pharmacy without a prescription from a doctor. It's actually the #1 GI doctor recommended laxative that you can get over the counter for relief from occasional constipation. So it's not just me saying this. It unclogs your gut by working naturally with the water in your body to hydrate, soften, and ease, without causing gas, bloating, cramps, or sudden urgency. I like it precisely because it does not have some of the harsh side effects that other laxatives can have. And it's easy to take. See, it's a powder that can dissolve into really anything, something as simple as a glass of water, or something as fun as a smoothie. You just stir it up, wait for it to dissolve, and you're good to go. In addition to using it myself, I often recommend Miralax to my patients with occasional constipation for the same reasons. It's something that you can use as needed whenever the stresses of life cause you to get a little bit more constipated than usual. This can be from eating poorly, not exercising enough, or often for no reason at all. Regardless, Miralax can help you unclog your gut and go back to living your life constipation-free. The #1 concern that I hear from patients, and I heard this from the last patient I saw in clinic today, is how constipation might affect their performance at their job or their ability to spend time with their family or friends. My patient, for example, works as a mailman. As you can imagine, constipation doesn't help with that. No one, especially me, wants to have their work held back by occasional constipation. Personally, my job is stressful enough without the addition of occasional constipation, so that's why I rely on Miralax to help me get out of those situations and power through my clinic day. I often prescribe Miralax to my patients. My first 2 patients of the day reported occasional constipation, for example. But one of the obvious benefits of Miralax is you can get it yourself over the counter without a prescription from a doctor. You should always talk to your doctor about any health issues that are concerning you, occasional constipation or otherwise, and this can be a PCP or a GI doctor. But if you're someone who simply just suffers from occasional constipation when life stresses you out or you're overworked, it's nice to be able to pick up Miralax from the store and get your bowels moving again. Miralax is available at your local Walmart, for example. As easy as you would buy groceries or household items, you can go either into the store or use the online app for curbside pickup to get some Miralax for yourself. You can even use the app to schedule a delivery to get this guy brought right to your door. It doesn't get any easier than that. Honestly, it's a pretty quick and simple solution for a problem that plagues so many people. Knowing your options for your health is often half the battle. And with regards to knowing your options, I'll admit that I have a little bit of a leg up with being a gastroenterology fellow. My wife and I both feel better when we use Miralax for our occasional constipation. And my hope is that someday this won't seem as shocking of an admission as you maybe think it is. That I have constipation, or my wife has constipation. It's common, and it's something we should talk about so people can know how to take care of it. Luckily, we have products like Miralax that can help make occasional constipation a thing of the past. Now, as you might imagine, constipation in the GI clinic can get pretty severe, and it often will cross over from the occasional constipation side to the chronic constipation side. At this point, you definitely need to be talking to your primary care doctor or a GI doctor about how to get through this. There's a few different things to consider with chronic severe constipation. Depending on your age and your other health conditions, you might need a colonoscopy to kind of assess to make sure there's nothing more concerning going on causing this constipation. This was the case for my 4th patient today who had never had constipation up until age 55, and then suddenly he developed severe constipation. That's a little bit more concerning, and it's definitely something to talk to your doctor about and needs to be delved into, in his case with a colonoscopy. Sometimes chronic constipation just simply needs stronger laxative medications that a GI doctor can prescribe. In some cases, constipation can be from a lack of coordination of your pelvic floor muscles. It may sound silly, but having a bowel movement is actually pretty complicated from a muscle coordination standpoint. So some patients actually will benefit from having physical therapy to strengthen their pelvic floor and those muscles that are involved with having a bowel movement, and that can improve their constipation dramatically, even with minimal medications. This can be diagnosed with a rectal exam, where I actually will insert my finger into the anus and have the patient do a few different maneuvers where they bear down or relax or squeeze down on my finger to help me decide if those muscles are weak. Or a more precise method is with something called anorectal manometry. This is where we actually insert a small balloon into the anus and have you do some of those same maneuvers, bearing down, squeezing down on the balloon, relaxing, and we can precisely measure those pressures to determine if you seem to have some weakness in those pelvic floor muscles, and therefore might benefit from pelvic floor therapy to strengthen those muscles and see if that helps your constipation. constipation. I actually referred my last patient of the day for this type of testing, anorectal manometry. Obviously, not every single one of my patients today in clinic had constipation, but since 4 out of the 8 did, I thought this would be a good time to focus on constipation as a diagnosis. Please let me know what other day in the life type of videos would be interesting to you, and if there's other diseases or symptoms that you would like discussed more. Please consider liking and subscribing, and thanks again to Miralax for sponsoring this video. Hope you all have a good day. See ya!